Hello, everybody. This is a very special episode of Distant Waves. My name is Dominic.
I'm uh I'm Trix. Trix is dead.
You've come
Good
to
start.
mourn our girlfriend, our good friend Trix.
I'm Ritalin. Trix is somewhere, probably in a McDonald's drive-thru.
A
For old
Mackety.
time's sake.
What was that? You're muffled.
Trix is really lagging out. Good start.
It only took 30 minutes, an hour yesterday.
Get the mic closer. I don't know. You're not doing super hot over there.
I'm holding it up to my face. I'm gonna read.
Yeah, no, it's cutting in and out. You got a bit of an internet issue, but until then, I've been Ritalin. Trix is gone. We'll never see her again.
Should we just restart this?
Nah. Nah, what would it be a last episode of the well, for me, of the year without everything going wrong?
Talking about things going wrong. That's all we got going on this week.
Yeah. Have I fixed it?
Yes.
Yeah, no, you have so much better.
It was my Wi-Fi. I had to put. I'm on my mobile data right now.
Oh, that's funny. Anyway, I'm Riddleman. This is my last episode of the year. I have too many life events coming up, and I just can't do the episodes for the rest of this year. So
He's getting out of jail. He's running for president. He's going to the moon.
we don't have presidents here.
He's running for prime minister.
So I had to.
He's running for premier.
Well, you don't run for prime minister, so
He's running for parliament, and parliament will elect him to be prime minister. I know.
yeah. But actually, my plan was to get. My plan was just to get elected as a member of parliament, then eventually rise to the ranks to become prime minister, put in a motion for us to become a republic, then become president. Now, I'm a little far off first step, but I expect in the next 20 years, I'll probably be in the same position I am now.
Solid. Very solid.
What are you gonna change the national anthem to?
Don't need to. Because you see, a lot of people always go, oh, how come our national anthem is so shit? And it is. But name one country that actually has a good national anthem.
Yes.
Well, besides New Zealand.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, that one's piss weak. New Zealand's only good because they actually sing it in, like, indigenous language as well.
Well, you can always make it tomorrow.
No, I think a lot of people are trying to make Smoke Over the Chats the national anthem. Which, it's just too long.
I mean, if
Then
only
again,
there were bands that called their song the national anthem, that would be so easy to change to.
they have anthem for the year 2000.
For the United States, how about we change it to "Peaches" by the presidents of the United States?
I was thinking of changing
Yeah.
it. I'm going to change it to the national anthem by Lana Del Rey.
To be honest, Trix, I think Lump is the better song.
I'm only really familiar with "Peaches."
And then England gets a national anthem by Radiohead.
I mean,
but only England.
I've completely forgot what we do on this podcast.
Talk about music
So
for some
this
reason.
week we have 3 albums. We have
3.5.
Frogstomp by Silverchair. We have accredited works by Crystal Castles. And Dark Side of the Moon by Pink.
2 classic albums and Crystal Castles.
And it occurs to me in my short listening this week, I forgot to do that one song off their third album. But I feel like I haven't really missed much with that.
I mean, aside from everything else, their third album is a major disappointment. As is their fourth album, but like,
Their second album was a disappointment.
if you
Their
thought,
first album was a disappointment. Let's go straight into Crystal Castles first.
oh yeah, all right.
I just want to say it. They're not that good.
Yeah.
They've got some good songs, and I feel bad when I criticize Alice Glass a lot because well, she's not the one I should be criticizing.
No,
Yeah,
fuck Ethan Cath forever.
yeah.
Yes.
But they're only good. Like the only songs that I go back to
Mhm.
are songs that they didn't really write, Like the only two songs I actually go back to are "Not in Love" featuring Robert Smith, which is a cover of a cover.
Yeah.
Because then they covered it and they did it with Alice Glass, and that version is the worst song of the album.
I never even heard that version until like not too long ago. I barely knew it existed.
Yeah, it sucks. It maybe I don't know what it is, but Alice's vocals are mixed way too low.
I wouldn't be surprised if that
Shit.
was Ethan Kath just being shitty.
Probably, and it's all muffled and everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's probably is Kath being shitty because her vocal performances work better when they're not edited to oblivion.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like even Carf, if he's being a fucking sociopath, couldn't he at least for 5 seconds go, okay, but this sounds better if we do it this way, just for like 5 seconds. Apparently, fucking not.
No, he was an abusive asshole. If you read the allegations and believe them, which I believe them.
And then
like, ooh.
Like,
then you have the Robert Smith version, which is actually good
yes,
because then the vocals come up, they produced the song a lot better. And then the other song that I go back to in Crystal Castles is just a remix of Banshee.
it's vanished. Yep.
Yeah, and that's it. I don't hate a couple songs of their debut. I didn't hate a couple songs of here. I thought there were some interesting moments, but I think if I actually listened to this band back in high school, I'd be in the same position as you, and would probably because there are certain bands in which you find out these allegations of certain members and it breaks you. For you, it's been Crystal Castles. For me, it's brand new. For Trix, I think it's every surf rock band.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like, yeah, like if there was an album that just summarized my entire high school experience and what it meant to me, it was Crystal Castles 2, by far.
And I listened to the shit out of Brand New's Deja and Tandu and The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. I thought those were the albums that defined my high school. And then Jesse Lacey turned out to be, well, I guess no one's really surprised that he turned out to be a dick and a sexual abuser.
It's just there's that. Like there's that. You know, Lost Prophet fans, Gary Glitter fans, a lot of people, you know, whose music idols have gone on to do atrocities like that. That's like one thing, right? But then there's also something especially terrible when it's like to the other member of the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very specifically toward Alice Glass, where the entire time they were together, that was going on. And you can't salvage any of that. Like you can't look back at, oh, you know, this was before, like not even trying to excuse it. Like it's all based on a predatory child grooming relationship, if you believe the allegations.
We are going to talk about another band later where the band leader is a raging narcissistic asshole, but it's a different case, and I'll get into it a little bit more when we get to Dark Side. But it's nowhere on the level of Ethan Cav. I could not make it halfway the allegations against him without sick.
No, it's. I mean, we talked about it in our last episode before, and I kind of hate talking about it again.
Well, it never got aired, so
yeah. So I guess, you know.
I mean, for me, since I wanted to do Crystal Castles, I wanted to at least talk about it again, since I feel like you have to, especially because like I support Alice. I like Alice's music a lot. I would like to do an episode on Alice at some point, hopefully soon. I don't want to be
I've put in my hot take like before in here, and I go into Crystal Castle's music, and the thing that sucks most about this and what makes it so hard for me to actually go back to this is that all the songs that I like and the best stuff of Crystal Castles is majority Ethan Kath.
And like that's the fucking terrible thing. It was like he would use that against her. Apparently, it was like, oh, people just come to see my instrumentals. They don't fucking care about you. And
yeah, I mean, granted, if some of the songs in here had actually properly utilized Alice Glass's vocals, they would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that, yeah, Kath has probably had a reason for some of that to kind of intentionally, because in Not on Love, the instruments, despite being low pitched most of the time, like in the Alice Glass version,
Yeah.
she's not there much.
No. And like
Somehow it's weird.
but like even then, like half of the songs, even on 2, it's like you're really gonna sit there and say everyone comes to fucking see you with stuff like Celestica and Feigning Spells. Like Celestica,
No one ever comes to a show to watch the producer.
like I mean, like if you had a consistent output of good material, that would be one thing. But when you start off the album in the worst way possible, and like put stuff like Empathy is okay maybe, but like some of the songs on here and on the debut are just nothing. Like you can't sit here and tell me though I'm an amazing producer, everyone comes to fucking see me. It's like no. Like for me and everyone I knew in high school, we were there to see Alice, because Alice was like the image of the band. She was like the face of it.
I'm trying to remember what the other songs that I found enjoyable of this album were. I think it was Suffocation wasn't too bad from what I remember.
Oh, Suffocation, man, that really brings me back a lot. That's such a song that I have enjoyed a lot.
Oh yes, and yeah, you go first.
Okay, for me, songs I would still like if I were to be able to listen to this without feeling guilty at all. Doe Deer, Baptism, Year of Silence, Suffocation, Vietnam, Not in Love, and then like Vietnam and Birds are okay.
So
Vietnam is okay. Oh yeah, it's alright. Birds and Baptism are okay, is what I mean.
You want an easier way of listening to Year of Silence without feeling guilty?
Yeah.
Just go listen to Segura Ross, because that's all the song is.
Like
I like it. I think it's a fine remix, but it's just Segura Ross.
Is it a remix?
Really yeah, it's pretty much just a remix of Segura Ross.
Because I know they wrote the song, but I didn't know that was actually their song.
Well, it's not well, Year of Silence isn't the name of it. It's a song called let me get it up. It's like some shit. It's Segura Ross titles are very hard to fucking pronounce.
Yeah.
It's Ini Mercenaga Signa. I pronounced that completely wrong and offended Iceland.
It's hard to offend Iceland.
All 5,000 of them.
Yeah.
But that's off Segura Ross 2008 album, which just had the song Gobbledygook, which is one of my favorite Segura Ross songs. I think it's a lot of people's favorite Segura Ross songs. And I would if you ask, would I go back to Year of Silence or Ini Mercenaga Fitwesinger? I probably said that even better, but still wrong. I'll just go back to the Segura Ross song. Like 100% of the time.
I mean, like part of it too was the Crystal Castle was like one of my gateways into like music. So like I didn't know other bands really, so I would never have known like it was Sigur Rós, or I didn't know who like Death from Above 1979 was or whatever.
And all those bands that you just mentioned are just so much better.
Yeah.
It's like for me, it's like Crystal Castles, like they were chiptune-y. It was like, I like video games. Crystal Castles is very chiptune-y at times. And you just fall in love with the rest of it.
I think the only song that I think I like better than the original was Vanished, and I think I like that better than Banshee's Sex City, but only barely. They both have their more enjoyable ways. And if you told me I can no longer listen to Vanish, I can only listen to Sex City, I wouldn't be upset about it.
I mean, yeah. But like even reading Ethan Katz describe making this album on Wikipedia, it's very much just like full of himself and just like I fucking bet that's how it was fucking done. Recording in the coldest winter in decades in a church without heat in Iceland. So cold that he could hear himself shivering. He chose it because it was right. Fuck off, dude.
Oh, fuck him.
Yeah, you want to go fucking kill yourself in the fucking cold ass winter to make fucking songs like Fainting Spells. Yeah, alright, cool.
I mean, if this is one of those albums that I know a lot of people give it a lot of love and stuff like that, and a lot of people gave the original Crystal Castles a lot of love, and without a doubt, they are probably some of the most important synth pop albums of the late noughties, early 10s. because you might not have some other synth pop acts out there that have this more kind of darker tone and everything. Like we might not have a Purity Ring at their exact same sound if we didn't have this stuff.
Yeah, no, yes, I agree with
But
you.
the important thing is that we can just go back to Purity Ring.
I really need to do another Eternity at some point. That is still one of my favorite albums.
Hmm.
And that is an album I can still go back to and not feel guilty, and it still holds up, unlike the two Crystal Castles albums we've done. I still think 2 holds up better than the first one, though. I will say that.
I think the first one holds up better.
I love the wintry theme. I love just the like not even holiday, but just like the vibes it gives in that. So like, I don't know, the wintry stuff I've always loved, but like
I think it's supposed to give up a haunting vibe at times, but it more gives off a dead.
and that's why I put Plague with it, because Plague also carries that forward into 3, but then the rest of 3 is just not that great at all. Like there's nothing there. But we had that Celestica EP, single EP, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And those demos that were on there, I think, were kind of emblematic of what they used to be. Like the Crystal Castles of like Excuse Me and like Doe Deer, when they were like harsh and loud, and like that's what drew people to them. So I kind of enjoyed those demos. Like Mother Knows Best is fun to listen to. But that's like, you know, those were...
Yeah, they weren't grabbing me at all, to be honest. I think me and Trix have the positive of not growing up with Crystal Castles, so we don't have the kind of nostalgia glasses on at any point during this, and there was never really a stage where we loved this stuff. So I think that's probably why we don't show as much kind of like or reasonings to say, oh, I like this part, or this is why I like the album, as you do. But
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of albums that you listen to as a kid growing up. Trix is just dying in chat, which is
I'm
fine.
gonna mute myself.
There are a lot of albums that you listen to growing up, and then you actually go back to it, and then you realize it wasn't really that good. It's got a lot of issues. And I feel like Crystal Castles just are that. I haven't listened to any of Alice Glass's solo stuff, so I cannot judge her as a solo singer. I feel like if she actually gets the opportunity for her vocals to properly shine, then it's already better than what Crystal Castles is. I think Calf is just a good remixer who was mistaken for a good songwriter.
I mean, I think this is my Violent Soho in a sense.
Probably.
Yeah.
We all have one. Except the difference is that Violent Soho didn't rape anyone.
That we know of.
I would be genuinely surprised. Like there were certain artists in which you go and you look back in their discography and you go, okay, this understands. I will be legitimately surprised if Violent Soho turn out to be sexual abusers.
Yeah.
You seem like drunk.
I think as a lot of people put out, they can't even really be party people anymore.
Yeah. Oh God. I would love to know what the other bands who work with Crystal Castles feel about those. Like, what does Robert Smith feel about this? Like there must be some kind of mortification there.
I don't know if he's ever made a statement. I don't know if he really needs to. I mean, a lot of people go like, "Oh, if you work close, obviously you've needed to know," or stuff like that. But he only worked on them for one song.
I mean, Health, I guess, is the more Health is the more band I guess I would love to know about, because they worked. Because Crystal Castles 1 was a remix of a lot of Health songs in a way. And I mean, like the one person,
mostly Crime Wave, but
and other ones,
Courtship and Courtship.
Yes, but like Jupiter Keys, who left Health, helped produce Alice Glass's solo stuff, so there's some continuity there, some kind of support there. But I think I needed this in a sense, just like, yeah, we are giving airtime to Crystal Castles and Ethan Cath, fuck him. But I also just need to get some of this out of my system, I think. Just like exercise some of this. And kind of like have somebody tell me this was not as good as you thought it was. Like, I still think
if there's anything I know how to do, it's criticize bands I don't like.
I still think Baptism is a fucking banger. I wish I could
Baptism
enjoy
is
it.
alright, but it's just not that important enough.
I just imagine it's just fucking like video game dialogue in like a music video. That'd be so cool. I just, oh, God.
If you want to listen to some good like chiptune music, go listen to Anamanaguchi.
Yeah, I know.
Just go listen to them. They do it so much better.
But I was a gay hipster in high school, so it's like Crystal Castle was that perfect Venn diagram.
Well, be an even gayer hipster now and listen to Anamanaguchi.
That was what the straight hipsters listened to. But yeah,
Be a hipster.
I know. I'm fucking. Yeah.
Do we have any more that we want to say about this, or do we want to just like end it now and never touch Ethan Cuff again? Although
album.
apparently you might not get the consent or the choice of whether or not you've been touching Ethan Cuff, so maybe.
Fuck.
Why the fuck do you choose songs like Celestica to be your fucking lead single? Because, like, what a fucking joke.
Oh no.
Like,
Look, there was one thing though that you have done for the done by bringing this. You have made the first album to have, besides the ones that had one song, to have the same best and worst track.
okay, Not in Love.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm genuinely surprised. I never really paid attention to the Alice Glass one, because when I bought the album in 2011, it was already replaced by the Robert Smith one.
And when you see the live versions of it and Alice Glass sings it, her vocals are more out there.
Yeah.
And it's more done like the Robert Smith version.
Yeah, you probably can't control it as much live, I would guess.
So yeah, best track is Robert Smith, Not in Love. Worst track is Alice Glass, Not in Love. I mean, I'm interested enough to see what Alice Glass's solo stuff is like. I might listen to it in my spare time.
We might do it as an episode when you're on your break, so yeah, when you get a chance.
Yeah.
But none of her. So you said she's got an album out. Was it only?
She's got an EP and just a bunch of singles.
Okay. I was gonna say there's no albums on Spotify.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. No, I am not a big Crystal Castles fan, and apparently I never need to be upset that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Rex?
Yeah, it's an okay album. I feel like if I had listened to it in high school, I would have liked it a lot. Which is what I think I said about the first Crystal Castle.
Yeah.
I appreciated the sound, but knowing what it's attached to, I couldn't.
You couldn't what?
Enjoy it.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, as the person who was the Crystal Castles fan in this group, I am supremely disappointed by everything that's happened after this album, both in terms of musically and in terms of just what happened to Alice and like everything. And I do want to state again that I want to give her my support, and I do this not to prop up Crystal Castles, but just to like talk through, at least for me, some just personal things about how much I love this album, how much it meant to me, and like obviously Alice went through a lot of worse things, but this having this taken away in a sense does really hurt.
I will say that me and my brother do own the physical albums, but we only bought them secondhand from independent record stores, so all of our money is only going to the record stores.
Support local business.
Yeah.
Favorite song.
Only buy it secondhand, lads.
Yeah. Favorite song, I guess I still love Baptism. I still Not in Love is still great. Suffocation is still, but worst song by far is Fainting Spells. I fucking hate that song. And then whenever they fucking do a sad track at the end, it's just so fucking manipulative. Like
I fucking hate when a sad song just out of nowhere to end an album comes out. That's why I like Land of Pleasure. Like, it has all these kind of slower moments in it, but it doesn't end with a song like that. Even if it is slower, it's still quite a happier song.
Like, I Am Made of Chalk might be the best of those ending songs that they did, because like fucking Tell Me What to Swallow is just not great. But also, Fainting Spells is the worst opener that they've done, so it doesn't fucking matter in the end.
Speaking.
You cut out there.
Yeah.
What?
We're going on to Silverchair's debut.
I think I cut out then.
Oof.
I heard
Let's move on. Yeah, let's move on to Frogstomp. So
let's talk about something good for once.
When we talked about the Aubreys, you two wanted to be impressed by the fact that, or mostly you, Dominic, about the age that they were. And don't get me wrong, it is still impressive, but it just doesn't beat how good this album is.
No, you were absolutely
by a bunch of 15-year-olds.
You were absolutely 100% correct.
15-year-olds, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, no. Go on, checks, please.
Like, yeah, this is exceptionally good for like 15 years old. At 15 years old, what was I fucking doing? Playing Skyrim? I don't. Definitely wasn't writing a great grunge.
Somehow, a bunch of 15-year-olds ended up writing one of the biggest Australian albums of all time, let alone just debuts or anything. And their career and their discography ended up being one of the most important discographies in Australian music history, putting out albums after this, like Freak Show, which is probably their weakest, not gonna lie. It's self-oriented, but still has some absolutely classic grunge songs.
Yeah.
Despite being late in the year, like Freak, and then I think Abuse Me is on that as well. And then in 1999, they put out Neon Ballroom, and it's like really darker because Daniel Johns is going through anorexia and a lot of self-image issues, and that's reflected on there, especially in Anna's song, which is it's a song that makes it seem like it's this love song, but it's actually just personifying his anorexia. It's pretty fucked, but I love it for shit. The Diorama came out, and then I feel like Australian alternative really got defined by that album, because I know a lot of other albums came in around that time as well, but I feel if you wanted to put out an album that is like the definition of how the Australian noughties alternative sound was, Diorama is pretty much that.
Yeah.
And then I shared with you Straight Lines of their last album, Young Modern.
Very different.
And yeah, you listen to Tomorrow and then you listen to Straight Lines, and these two, the reason I compare these two is because they're easily Silverchair's two biggest tracks. Straight Lines was just fucking everywhere, and Tomorrow was obviously one of the most historical songs.
Yeah, Tomorrow is big even here.
And it's such a weird, it's a weird change that they did, but then you go through all that and you realize they were always going to end up there, but it also feels like they skipped quite a lot of steps to get there.
I mean, when you're 15, like, imitating what you like is kind of how you learn, I think. How you get anywhere. Like, when I was writing stuff at 15, I was mostly just copying the things that I like and trying to make my own thing out of them.
Well, this band ended up becoming pretty much copying what they liked into a sound that people would do the same to.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many bands that you could name that have successfully done that.
They got together when they were 12. Silverchair came together when they were fucking 12. My question...
And the fact that they've written a song that's a hit at the age of 14.
I mean, like, were they all like this at 12? Probably not. They probably weren't even pubescent yet. So it's amazing how much 3 years really changed things.
Yeah.
And then after the release of Young Modern, they announced that they were on an indefinite hiatus. Yeah, they're never coming back. Daniel Johns is just doing stuff that is just way different than Silverchair at this point. Playing with I think he's with Luke Steele from Empire of the Sun / Sleepy Jackson doing electronic pop. So, you know, that's different. He did all the solo stuff, which was quite poppy as well. He's completely changed his sound, and I think this other Silverchair members didn't really want to go in that direction as well.
Yeah. For some reason, when I was reading about Silverchair this week, I started reading about Oasis after that. And learning about Be Here Now was quite the trip.
Fair enough.
But like hearing about like those big changes in sound and like trying to do something more like there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and I think Silverchair had the advantage of like A, being really young and having a lot of time to fuck up, B, not really fucking up and just going from A to like F without really telling anybody. It's almost like a Radiohead kind of thing.
I think the beauty about being 14/15 when you're writing on these songs is that when you're a bit older in your age and you go with the and you're writing angsty stuff, you have to go, all right, is this too angsty? Is this just pathetic? And they just don't even realize. Like, you wouldn't really realize if you're being too angsty or not.
No.
It's I'm 14 and this is deep, but in the best possible way.
Pretty much.
I mean, like, stuff like Suicidal Dream is still really fucking cuts deep.
Like, I mean, even Tomorrow's not even angsty somehow. Like, the sound of it is, but the song's just about pretty much the differences in perspective between upper class and middle class or lower class.
Yeah.
Because apparently it was written because they saw this TV show or something like that where a rich person was living in had to live in like a very cheap hotel and shit, and like the water you couldn't drink and stuff.
Right.
And they were just watching the guy have a breakdown, and they're just saying, "What a pathetic loser."
Yeah, like a lot of the stories of their songs kind of sound like that. Oh, I saw something on the telly. We just made a song about it.
But they weren't gonna have all the stuff about like, oh, my friend died in a car accident or stuff like that. Like other bands in these days, which have been inspired by this artist, do like a MIDI Affliction. I know has a huge Silverchair influence, and surprisingly a Nick Cave influence.
Yeah.
But
it's just like they were able to create these great songs, or at least the great sounding songs, out of like just watching TV, just being imaginative enough. And like the presentation even covers up for maybe some of the lack of lyrics in some of these songs too.
I don't know if I consider this to be their best album. I don't think I do. I think I even consider Neon Ballroom or Diorama, depends on the day, to be their best. But you go back onto this, and it's somehow still up there, despite it being, one, a debut. Two, I mean, the lyrics don't hold up too well in a lot of these songs when they do go a bit, okay, yeah, this is a 15-year-old, you can kind of tell, but, it just somehow doesn't really matter.
No, like everything else about it still feels very professional and like adult. Like Daniel Johns' voice does not sound 15.
Oh, yeah.
Like 22, 23, 24, somewhere in there. Plus, the other thing too is that they were willing to experiment and have different kinds of songs on the album. Like Madman being mostly instrumental, except for like 2 instances. One being just a grr, and then the other one being Madman. And then like Find a Way basically being like a punk song. Like a pop punk almost.
And they could write a chorus at 14.
Yeah.
I know choruses might not be like the hardest things to write, you'd think, but it's still
massacre.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I was thinking of where like it's somehow just so memorable with the chorus.
I mean, I also love that they have a song about don't go too hard in the shade. Like the just saying don't go, or going hard in the paint. Like someone should have remixed that song eventually. But yeah, the naughties were not ready for Silverchair remixes, I guess.
Well, there's a bunch of tribute albums and stuff where either one they've had someone cover a song of theirs, or there's actually a there's like a 20 years of Silverchair or something album out there.
But not one that mixes hard in the paint with shade.
No. What is... So let me just quickly find it, because I know an artist that was on it. I think the tribute album was called Spawn Again, based off one of their songs called Spawn Again. Yeah, here we go. Spawn Again, a tribute to Silverchair. So here are all the songs that got covered on it. So we had Tomorrow, Israel's Son, Freak, Cemetery, Anthem for the Year 2000, Anna's song, Spawn Again, Emotion Sickness, Without You, and Straight Lines, which was the other one. And then there's also been some other artists like I don't know if Amy Shark is popular at all in America. I don't think she is, but she had a huge hit here, and on her first like version for Triple J, she covered Silverchair with Miss You Love. So that's just the amount of like artists that have been inspired by this, and you listen to, like, say if this was your first and only listen to Silverchair, and then you heard about how all these different artists and different sounds were inspired by it, you would be pretty confused.
Would I be
think I
though?
do plan.
Confused?
Well, because Amy Shark's not punk or anything. She's just pop.
True.
And if you had only heard this album before realizing it, you wouldn't realize just exactly how many different artists have been inspired by this band.
Because of how much ground they've covered since. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, I do plan to cover some of these albums some point in the future. I think they are. I mean, when we talk about bands who are important in Australian music history, this is up there at the top.
And I definitely want to learn more now that I've learned the bit, like the story of them being fucking 15 and putting this out. That's still incredible, I think.
They were selling out shows at 16. And like, you could, not even just in Australia, like in America as well.
They played Saturday Night Live at 15. Or 16, I mean. But at the same time, you have songs like Shade, where the lyric is, if you're hurt, why don't you tell someone? If you were abused, find someone to help you. Like, yeah, dude.
Good shit.
Great A fucking job. You got it. Just tell someone. Perfect.
And that brings us to Jelly of the Month Club with their song Tell Someone.
Yeah. Also a song aimed at kids, but not made by kids. Or an album.
I mean, as far as debuts go, this is just one of the best in history.
It's incredible.
I don't rate it higher than Avalanche's personally. I feel like Trix probably would. But that's just because of Trix's bad experience with people loving the Avalanches.
Yeah, the Avalanches was good, but yeah, it was an okay album.
Like, I'm not gonna say like it's incredible in terms of like music, like exploration, in terms of lyricism, but it's incredible
I do feel like as we go more into this band, like, you'll realize this probably isn't actually Silverchair's best, but it also just goes to show that they had they had a really good discography for a band that realistically was only around for 20 years.
And the thing too is like every song on here is good. I think every song on this album is good. There's no there is some kind of filler, but it's not bad enough or bland enough to be real filler.
Yeah.
You got your A sides and your B sides, but that's it.
Well, anything else to say about this album, or shall we get into favorites, least favorites?
It's good.
Good album.
Good album. I mean, favorite is obviously Tomorrow. I don't even try to hide that. I love songs like Pure Massacre and Suicidal Dream and Israel's Son, but yeah, I think Tomorrow. Yeah, Tomorrow is probably my favorite. I don't really have a least favorite off this album. Like, I feel like to give a least favorite, it'll have to have an actual bad enough song for it. Even if it's just like below par, but I don't think there's actually anything below par for this album.
I like a lot of these songs.
It doesn't mean it has the highest ceiling or anything out of all the albums, but if we go into like the par, like say for what is the minimum that this album needs to do to be compared with the rest of the songs, I don't think any song falls below that.
Like, it's better than the Crystal Castles album. That's real fucking sure.
So many albums that we've done this year are better than the Crystal Castles. I don't even think it will be in my ranking. I don't even think like it would just be anywhere near enough. Yeah. Anyway, your two's favorites and least favorites.
Drex, if you want to go.
Yeah, I'll go first. Let me just pull up the
track listing.
Yeah, because I'm bad at song titles.
No, fair enough.
I really like the intro on Israel's Son with the bass.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just held my attention throughout it. Suicidal Dream was great. I don't really have a least favorite because it all was pretty solid quality.
Yeah.
Dominic, favorite, least favorite.
Oh.
Come on, son.
All right. Israel's Son, really good, really fucking good. I really also like Pure Massacre and Suicidal Dream. I also want to give props to Find a Way because I thought that switch up at the end was very fun. The only song I probably, if I had to pick one that I like the least, maybe Shade, because the lyrics are kind of just stretching just a bit much into I am 15 and I'm trying to relate. But like honestly, the whole thing, beginning to end, I could listen to it all, like anytime.
Yeah.
Pop the whole CD in my fucking car. It'll be fine.
So for the spoilers of everything, the next album, it's probably the number one in the week. It's if someone asked you to give them an album as to define the definition of an album, you could just put this out there because this is an this is an album.
It's one of the best selling albums in the world of all time.
And deservingly so.
Yeah.
It is
because it somehow holds up. It's great to go through.
Yeah.
I think it's tricks. You were going to try and do the task of getting yourself stoned while listening to it. How did that go?
It improved the listening experience.
Really?
Yeah, when listening to Dark Side. Like, I noticed textures I hadn't noticed before.
Really?
And like some certain sounds, like I noticed the fade out at the end. There was the strings going on.
Oh, that was just a Beatles Ticket to Ride. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I really noticed it when time hit and the rototoms sounded different.
Actually,
And-
whilst we're going on about noticing specific quality and stuff like that, I'm gonna post to you an article that I want you to go through.
We're doing Dark Side of the Moon, just so people are clear.
Yeah, we're doing Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, hello.
But I have posted a beautiful article that Trix's little rant there has reminded me of. And the band Tism is reissuing some CDs and stuff, and are going to be releasing 2 vinyl, which are completely empty, as to not detract from the quality of the vinyl.
Excellent.
That's hilarious. But yeah, I texted my buddy while I was listening to it. I'm like, holy fuck, Gilmy's tone. And it just like I was on another, like it was a new experience and I really enjoyed it.
Listen to Dark Side of the Moon and went in a trance and drew this. Classic. Trix is actually going to go, oh, shush, I'm 14 and this is deep.
Yeah, well, back to time, the clocks.
You can't go back in time.
Yeah.
Like, when I was listening to it stoned, for some reason I wasn't expecting the clocks, even though I've heard this album like 100 times.
Yeah.
Just,
so, no, what this is mine, so yours is, I was with my friends, like, a couple months back at this point, and we watched the Flume mixtape visualizer,
Mhm.
and they were talking about when they watched it when they were on acid, and there's a part of it where the music just stops and he just fills up his car to get gas. And apparently that's when they had to freak out, because throughout the whole album and stuff like that, they were just expecting music, so they just kind of kept moving along to the music. And then when it completely cut out, they just had to freak out. And I feel like that's what the clocks did to you. Like you're not actually, because you're not expecting that. You're expecting music because that's what you're going along to here. And then suddenly all these other sounds come out, and it kind of fucks up your focus.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
So my history with this album is interesting because growing up, number one, my dad hated Pink Floyd, so I never listened to Pink Floyd. My dad hated Pink Floyd. He hated Bohemian Rhapsody. So never had a lot of exposure to those songs until much later. Then,
okay, but Crean's discography was not actually that good. Besides, like Bohemian Rhapsody and Killer Crean.
Yeah.
Get fucked, dude.
You
That's
need
wrong.
To dig to find, you need to dig to find some tunes.
There's a lot of good Queen songs.
Pink Floyd, or not Pink Floyd. Queen is simultaneously overrated and underrated at the same time.
Their deeper cuts are fine, but all the songs that everyone keeps blasting are overrated. Bohemian Rhapsody itself is not too bad. Radio Gaga is fine. If I hear another one bites the dust again, I'm going to shoot myself.
I think Bohemian Rhapsody is way overrated. I'd rather listen to another one bites the dust.
Yeah, it's overplayed. The movie itself is so fucking bad.
Do you know why that is? It's because they're contractually they had to include every band member for an equal amount of time.
And yeah, the editing was terrible. Apparently the original idea when they had Sacha Baron Cohen, who I reckon probably would have done better because
yes,
God, I would have fucking loved that movie.
Rami Malek didn't do a bad job, but it didn't really catch the eccentricness of Freddie Mercury. I reckon Baron Cohen would have done that a lot better.
Oh,
and
yes.
And apparently Freddie Mercury was originally supposed to die halfway through because it's also supposed to be talking about his legacy and what they did afterwards.
That would have been an interesting movie. That would have been an interesting movie. No one fucking wants that.
That should have been how it's done. Instead, we got
Rocket Man is what Bohemian Rhapsody should have been.
Instead, we get that fucking scene where they cut 10 times at a lunch scene.
I know that one's so fucking terrible.
Or 15, and that was the
won best editing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. But I think the movie is good for its costume design. I think whoever did the costume design on that deserves an award. I don't think they got that one though. No, the costume design in it is fantastic.
Based on true events, it's fine. Anyway, though. So I went from not listening to Pink Floyd very much, knowing who they were, and then, it was not that household. When I worked at a used CD store, movie store, my boss played fucking Pink Floyd all the fucking time. Like, every day, we were listening to either Dark Side or The Wall. Every fucking day. And the fun thing was that, because I didn't know, I knew, but I didn't really know, the tracks. To me, Dark Side of the Moon had, 5 songs. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. They're making the whole album out of 5 songs.
No, the flow in this album is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It's unleveled.
Everything perfectly transitions into everything else, pretty much. There's a side change.
Eclipse and brain damage.
Yeah.
Playing brain damage without Eclipse is a fucking crime.
Great Gig in the Sky. Just fucking... The song in general is amazing, but then coming from Time into Great Gig in the Sky is amazing. It is...
Yeah.
Reading about how they got the singer in for Great Gig in the Sky. Her name was... What was her name? Carrie Torrey or something like that? I had to look it up again. I wrote it down. Yeah, Claire Torrey. And that was literally, from what I read, Alan Parsons just knew her from a cover she made at some point. And she's like, oh, we'll just bring her in and we'll have her do it. And they just kind of had her do her thing. Kind of gave her some direction. And that's what she fucking belted out. And it's amazing.
Yeah. And then you got Money, which is in 7/4.
The thing about Money, I always have to cringe a bit. Because when I worked at that CD store, the whole bullshit thing, it's is someone gonna finally complain that they say bullshit over the PA system?
Bullshit. Yeah.
Because my fucking boss was like, no swearing in music. This is the one exception.
I mean, he's right.
It's every time that I know that line is coming, it's anticipating, and it's the anxiety is there. because I'm just so
Look,
used to
I
like.
think Money is like for an album full of great moments. I think Money is actually the only song that I could listen to by itself.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even my favorite moment of it. I reckon Brain Damage is probably my favorite moment, just because the outro for it is just so fucking good. Like, it's built up and you get this great chorus to it, and then it flows up to Eclipse. So I couldn't really listen to it by itself.
Okay, so Trix, tell us about Roger Waters. Tell us about Sid Barrett. Tell us everything you know.
Roger Waters is an egotistical dick, and this is when he took over the creative control of the band and he produced this masterpiece. And
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to talk about with Roger Waters. He took creative control of the band, obviously. He during the recording of The Wall, he fired pretty much everybody. The Wall was almost a solo album.
Worth noting, they spent like 3 or 4 albums in between Sid Barrett and Roger Waters trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, that was mostly like David Gilmour and just like the kind of band just kind of figuring out, all right, what are we doing? And trying to like stay with their psychedelic side. But this is Roger Waters saying, we're doing a concept album, and they fucking knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. And then they continued to for several albums.
Yes, like you got Wish You Were Here. It's fucking great. That one's only 5 songs. And Animals, which is also only 5 songs. And then you get into The Wall, which is like 20. But
I mean, taking a look at Animals, it looks like it's really only 3 songs, and it's just got an intro and an outro.
Pretty much. It's a great album though. That's probably my favorite Pink Floyd album. That isn't a live album. Live at Pompeii is probably my.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole lot to do with this band. But this album is kind of about Sid Barrett and how he just completely lost it, fried his brain on LSD. And like there's the lines like, and when your band starts playing different tunes, I'll see you on the dark side of the moon. That was in reference to how Sid Barrett would just detune his E string and play that all night long because he was so out of it.
I was reading something that was saying about how, in a way, it was like Gilmour and Waters saying like, you know, when you're having those kind of issues, like we understand, we're kind of there too. But I don't know what's right anymore.
Music is subjective. I have a feeling that the song is actually written about me.
It could be. Yeah. Maybe they call him Cardinal Floyd.
They knew I wanted to be an astronaut.
But yeah, it's a great album, and there's just a whole lot of lore and just that sort of thing about it.
I think one of those, when we have those weeks though, like where an album could easily win it, and then you go like, oh, here are the albums so that would beat it. Yeah. And yeah, Silverchair is like, yeah, we could this could win almost any week that we've done.
Yeah.
But here's an album that would beat it.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would go back to Silverchair more because I just enjoy.
Well, it's easier to go back to songs of Silverchair than it is of this album.
But academically, sonically, everything else, Pink Floyd is better. I know this. Like, my mind wants me to try to justify Silverchair being better, but I just cannot. Like, so Dark Side of the Moon is just in its own level.
Yeah. Like, you don't see that many Silverchair t-shirts. You see many Dark Side of the Moon t-shirts.
Not to mention, every song in Dark Side of the Moon has a Wikipedia page about it.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Sure, just OK Computer has it as well.
I'll look it up. Other thing I was going to say is that you know what? I think Comfortably Numb could fit on this album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because part of me kept waiting to hear it even though I know it wasn't there. Like, Probably Numb could fit on this. Also, OK Computer only has like 4 or 5 Wikipedia pages.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. What a shame.
Is there any Radiohead album that does have more?
Just a casual reminder that Rolling Stone gave OK Computer a 4 out of 5.
We'll have to go through Radiohead at some point. I'm sure there'll be a lot of opinions going on here when that happens.
I haven't really listened to much Radiohead, if I'm going to be honest.
Man, I like Radiohead.
I was big
Nasty enough.
into Radiohead in high school, but I outgrew them before I outgrew Crystal Castles. But I still like Radiohead fine, but the songs just don't hit the same way they used to.
Man, I want to see if I can try and find the initial reviews of this for this album.
For which one?
For Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, I think I was reading something about how some people called the first half confused. Like, bitch, who's confused? It is a sonic landscape that goes from beginning to end with no noticeable breaks.
Yeah.
Just because it is not definable as like just regular songs, and like some of them are just kind of like intros, and some of them are just kind of like instrumentals. It's like, who the fuck cares? It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a pretty noticeable break between Great Gig and a Sky and Money, but that's just because it fades out a lot in Great Gig.
Well,
that's also the final split. So
yeah, that's what the side changes. So there has to be a break.
Yeah. I mean, what more to say than probably one of the best albums we've covered on this podcast.
Yeah.
I think my favorite like actual moment. I prefer to say favorite moment and least favorite moment than song, because like it's hard to say specific song. I reckon my favorite moment is Brain Damage, especially just the chorus on it is sung so well. It's this kind of penultimate ending to this whole thing, and and it's great. I don't know. I think it starts off a little bit slower. I don't hate it. I think if I had to put a least favorite moment, I don't know. I probably still wouldn't have one. I feel like if I'm not gonna give Silverchair a least favorite, I think everything on here is still above par for the album. So I don't really think it has a least favorite.
Yeah, we never did the whole Wizard of Oz Dark Side of the Rainbow thing. We should do that at some point.
Yeah, I was I couldn't be fucked to. I was already doing some extra credit, and I wasn't going to go the whole hog.
Yeah. For me, like, I think my favorite moment is just the wailing in Great Gig in the Sky. Like, her vocals are amazing.
Yeah.
And just, I think my least favorite moment is the anxiety I feel while I listen to Money, even still.
You're in bullshit.
Yes.
Oh god, he swore.
It's there was a meme I saw on the Pink Floyd Circle Jerk subreddit, and it was like pick one. It's like the 4 best moments on the album. It was like the 5 notes from "Shine On You, Crazy Diamond." I was off key, but you know what I mean. Something from Dark Side of the Moon, something from Animals, and then it was right when Roger Waters says "My balls" in Mother.
Yep, it'd be that.
Yeah.
Also, I do want
to find it.
I do want to like give special notice because I love the whole mid song chatter they have going on in Dark Side. They just kind of throw it to just random clips of people talking. Sometimes it's the band, sometimes it's not. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
But that was fun and interesting.
Tricks, your favorite moment?
Favorite moment? Hard to say. Probably just the whole climax with Brain Damage and Eclipse. Least favorite, On the Run, because when I smoked today, I just felt like some crazy building anxiety listening to it. Like, it's just like hard to explain. It's just kind of like mysterious in like a way that I didn't like.
Yeah.
But I like it normally, but like it threw me off today.
Fair.
Do we want to even bother with rankings, or are they just all going to be the same again?
I'll say mine. I think if you disagree, let me know.
Yep.
Number 4 is the Celestica EP, because who cares? I guess.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Crystal Castles 2.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Silverchair's Frogstomp. And number 1 is Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to disagree for a second, just because I thought I got the deluxe edition confused with the Celestica EP. But then I remembered that the Celestica EP was only a couple of songs, and then None in Love wasn't actually on it. So yeah, no, I fully agree.
His Celestica EP was technically the Doe Dare EP, but that was a record store day only thing. So then became the Celestica single, which is also technically an EP because there's 4 other songs on it, including an alternate cut of Celestica, which sounds exactly like Celestica fucking anyway. But anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like Crystal Castles having a record store day release now would just be like bargain bin in 5 years.
It'd
Would
be
be in the
like
bargain bin in 1 year, but like you'd still see it in 5 years.
Yeah.
like Kevin Spacey doing a masterclass.
Grand Theft Auto trilogy at Walmart.
No, Grand Theft Auto trilogy people still like.
Yeah, but you would still see it at Walmart in the bargain.
At PS2, yeah. No, it wasn't even in the market bin. It's still $20.
Yeah, it was still like $20.
It's like Kevin Spacey doing a masterclass right now.
So I reckon since this is probably my last moments of the year, unless I come back for a ranking. Instead of talking about what albums we're all gonna do next week, but let's talk about what our highlights just from listening this year have been.
Oh,
Besides, obviously, the start.
Weekend Run Club is definitely a big one.
yes.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest surprise of this year.
They have endured the entire time.
Yeah, I haven't done my rankings for albums or something of this year yet. I still plan to do that. However, if it gets delayed, that might happen. We'll see where it is. If I come back for the rankings episode though, then I'm going to be doing it at the same time.
Right.
I'm genuinely surprised of how much you like Dune Rats, to be honest.
I don't know what it is about Dune Rats. I just like that album. Like, the more I think about it, the more I like it. Caretaker, another big standout.
Yeah.
Fucking, I still hate you, Trix. I still hate you.
It's justified. It's justified.
And then Caretaker, and then did I follow that up with the Sonic episode?
I think So
That's
I
a
remember,
great.
yeah, 'cause we did Middle East on that as well.
Yeah, that's a great back-to-back area right there.
Just straight up depression.
No, but it's a great 3-week period because we got live at Jittery Joe's with Life Facilities and Dr. Dog, into Caretaker and then all the seismic investigation we did, and like the Caretaker, and then the whole Sonic Adventure 2 Middle East stuff because that was all great. I loved that section probably the most this year.
And
then
I reckon Seismic is like out of all the mysteries that we've done, Seismic has been the funnest.
Yes, yeah, I will even I didn't like portions as much. I will admit that.
I feel like that's one that's just really grown on me and Trix.
Yeah, Seismic is real good. Like I was surprised. It might be that I listened to a couple songs like a couple times to try and do the lyric videos.
Yeah.
But
I think it's just because I like math rock, and they have a strong math rock influence in it.
And then,
especially with songs like Machine Shopping. Fucking the last song is just pretty much an instrumental math rock song. I still think you're right with the one song where the guy sings on it. It's probably the weakest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the song is still the instrumental.
Yeah, I'd probably still agree. I'd agree with you. I think the strongest is the instrumental, but I still like Machine Shopping, and Habits is pretty good as well.
And then we did the WoW episode, and that just kind of killed everything.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just going through everything else just quickly. Obviously, we had the big Phil Elverum special.
There's the whole part we made EPs.
Yeah, that was surreal and fun.
Yeah, that was a great time. I loved that.
And I won. I won, baby. I won.
You made a whole album and you won. I
what?
introduced the world to
How many
Jerry.
listeners am I on to? Oh no, let's go up. I think I'm on 3 monthly listeners.
Has anyone bought any of your stuff besides me?
Okay, so I have no, I'm on 4. What the fuck? I have 2 in Melbourne, 1 in Balaclava apparently, and 1 in Istanbul.
Hmm.
What you doing there, Turkey? What you doing?
I mean, I have a friend of mine who lives in Turkey, so there's a chance it could be him. I don't think so though. It'd be very funny if it was.
I have 4 followers. What the fuck? I know one of them is me.
I have 1 follower and it's you.
Ah.
I also love the Spotify emails or the sound or the fucking Bandcamp emails
Yeah.
they're like, you have no sales. Keep trying. No one's bought your TP yet. Get fucked. But it's still fun. I think I enjoyed doing that.
I think it's good that we also did the Hill 2020s a lot more this year.
Yeah,
Caught us up on a lot more of the new releases, and I think it's something that it's probably gonna just go even more next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we also found a lot of interesting stuff in that, like the Oliver Tree stuff. The whole Spacey Jane thing.
Spacey Jane is so good.
Um,
All right, well, I'm gonna end this on just probably gonna be the hottest take that we'll do.
okay.
You have 30 seconds. Just go off the top of your head. What comes onto it? What do you reckon the worst album that we've covered this year is?
Love.
And we're going for Love?
I'm going for Love.
My mind went to Loud first and not Thin Mind, so probably Loud.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I was thinking, do I consider Jelly at the Month Club? But then I'm like, actually, I enjoyed like a couple moments of that I can remember. So yeah, it's Love.
I also enjoyed a couple moments off of Loud, and I did not enjoy any of Thin Mind, but I went to Loud first.
Julia, Take Your Man Home off Thin Mind is in strong contention of being in one of my top songs of the year. Like not in top 10, but like a top 100. I reckon it's going to be in there because I've been listening to it a lot.
All right, how many bands have we now completed? They're
Fuck,
most of
I
their
don't
discographies.
Fuck.
We're Petite League until they release their album this year.
Right. Neutral Milk,
unless
we get into the unofficial stuff.
I just want to mention though, so that earlier this year I said I was going to go start a dive into British India.
Didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I need to get back onto that, but I chose so much other stuff instead. It's just a shame because they do have an alright discography, but I don't think it's like Silverchair level.
The discordance between us and Echolalia is still funny.
Yeah, nah, you're just wrong. It's alright.
It was alright.
Once in a while.
It was alright. I thought it was fine.
You have to think it's perfect.
I still like when
Hockey Dad we're pretty much covered all that we're going to besides one EP.
I still might choose one of their other stuff sometime, just for shits and gigs.
Yeah.
Violent Soho is pretty much done because I already covered. I mean, I don't think we're gonna do the Pigs and TV EP.
I mean, we've done the Middle East except for the Sleeping Trains thing.
Yeah, we're gonna do that at some point.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be covering all of the other Middle East stuff as well. So all the songs of the original, blah blah blah.
We've done Calpurnia and Aubrey so far, and I think it's funny when I choose albums and then everyone's like, "No, it sucks." Like when I did Ali X, and I was like, everyone's just like, "Yeah."
And Crystal Castles.
Anyway,
with that, before we go into a depressive episode again about Crystal Castles, I think this is a fine time to end it because I don't know, we're just gonna end it at some point.
yeah, Trix and I are gonna come back in a bit in a couple weeks and do something on our own. Probably gonna watch some movies.
If they decide to do albums, I'm more than happy for these two to request an album for me to choose. I won't be covering it at all. I just won't have the time. But I'm always there to just yell one off the top of my fucking head.
We'll see what happens.
I found the glorious Pink Floyd moments, but you can only pick one, and it's Mother at 38 seconds.
Ah, it's beautiful.
My balls.
With that, I've been Ritalin. You won't see me again this year, so go into my website instead. Ritalin for Kids at github.io. I also have a YouTube channel. I doubt there'll be anything posted by the end of the year. I generally don't know what my schedule's going to be like. It's a bit unfortunate, but things happen. I'll be back eventually. Just going out for some cigarettes.
Wait, Dad, come back.
10 years when he tries to get back into the podcast.
You guys, now that you're successful, can I come back?
Anything for you, sweetie.
I've been Trix. You can catch me on Twitter at procrastinaut_. That's like procrastinating astronaut with an underscore at the end of it.
Sweaty.
Let me in for the Jeff Mangum interview.
Sweaty.
You can catch me also on my YouTube channel where I do bass stuff. It's Moonchild. There'll be a link or something. You can catch us all at Dissonant Waves on Twitter. Just Dissonant Waves, name of the podcast, nothing special. And dissonantwaves.space.
And I'm a Dominic. I write things for tiltingwindmillstudios.com, and I will post stuff there sometimes, whether it's late or not. We'll see. I write other stuff sometimes, and we'll see if I share it. I don't know. I'm on Twitter at DACICHOCKI. That is DHikoki. It's my name and stuff. Other parts of my name. It's a fun time. I think that's going to do it for us. Otherwise, I have nothing else to say. Any last words,
Howard
Ritalin?
Stern's penis. Howard Stern's penis.
Since you mentioned that, I'm just going to say I've been listening to Howard Stern interview Hillary Clinton. It's one of the best interviews I've ever heard.
Alright.
So, that's a timestamp.
We'll be back in just Dominic. It'll be the Dominatrix show again.
Yeah.
Where we're going to watch horror movies next week.
2 weeks from now.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll do something for Halloween. See y'all.
Have a good one, lads.
See y'all.
Beep, 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 beep.